What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today we're going to talk about 10 drivers who could drive the 10 car heading into the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Currently, at the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty around Stewart-Haas Racing. Obviously, we know that Kevin Harvick is going to retire at the end of the season to go into Fox Sports booth, and Josh Berry is expected to drive. So we know at this point who is going to drive the 4 car in 2024. But another ride at Stewart-Haas Racing that has a lot of questions currently at the moment right now is the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. The current driver of that car is still currently 50-50 if he is going to retire or not. So today we're going to talk about 10 guys who could drive the number 10 car in 2024. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. The first driver who could drive the 10 car in 2024 is a current driver at that 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing, Erik Jones. Now, Erik Jones is that said driver, currently drives the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing at the moment. But Erik Jones has said publicly that he's currently 50-50 if he's going to return next year or he's going to retire at the end of the year. Remember, Erik Jones was actually supposed to retire at the end of the 2022 season, but he was convinced at the last minute by talking to his family and also his sponsor, that being Smithfield. He was convinced by them to return in 2023. It sounds like it's more likely that Erik Jones could retire at the end, but there's also, like I said, a really strong possibility that Erik Jones could come back in the 2024 season. Now, Erik Jones has struggled so far in 2023, but it's not Erik Jones that's a promise to Stewart-Haas Racing. In my opinion, I think it comes down to Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart-Haas Racing has struggled in the last 3 seasons. Sure, Kevin Harvick has been performing very, very good, and Chase Briscoe's formed good at times, but I think that Stewart-Haas Racing overall, in general, look how bad they performed in 2023. They have struggled. I think one of the biggest questions will be, will that win at Sonoma? They had the Xfinity Series driver RSS Racing. Will that win convince them enough to return in 2024? That is going to be the question. But certainly, I think Erik Jones does have a really strong chance of returning to the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024. The second driver who could drive the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is Zane Smith. Zane Smith currently drives full-time at the Truck Series for Front Row Motorsports in the 38 car and drives part-time for some of the 4 teams. He drove once for Rick Ware this year, but mainly drives in the Cup Series for the 36 car or the 38 car in part-time starts. Now, Zane Smith has been solidly impressive in his select Cup Series runs, including getting a top 10 in the Coca-Cola 600. And he is likely expected to jump up to the Cup Series in some sort of capacity in 2024, especially I think of how frustrated he's been with some of the respect on the track in the Truck Series. I would have to imagine that Zane Smith wants to go Cup racing in 2024. Of how impressive he's been in the Truck Series, he'll likely be in the Cup Series in 2024. The big question, though, is will Zane Smith be in that 10 car or will he be with Front Row Motorsports? I think the 10 car would be a decent ride to go to, not a great ride, but a decent ride to go to. But remember, Zane Smith is currently on a multi-year deal with Front Row at this moment and is also under contract with Ford right now through 2026. I think Zane Smith does have a chance of going to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024. I thought initially he'd be the favorite to go, but he is certainly one of the favorites, according to Jordan Bianchi, that he could be one of the favorites to drive the number 10 car. But, like I said, the big question is going to be, will he be in that 10 car or will he be driving a Front Row car? I would imagine that Front Row is going to try to keep him, but Zane Smith would definitely be a really big pickup for Stewart-Haas Racing as well, considering I think Stewart-Haas Racing definitely like a younger driver, but they probably also like a veteran driver as well. But Zane Smith will be 25 next year and has had some Cup starts up to this point. I think regardless will be in the Cup Series, but he certainly could drive the 10 car heading into the 2024 season. The third driver who could drive the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell currently drives a 34 car for Front Row Motorsports in the NASCAR Cup Series. But unlike Zane Smith, who has a multi-year deal with Front Row Motorsports at this moment, Michael McDowell is currently in a contract year with Front Row Motorsports. As only a year-by-year basis with Michael McDowell since his contract began back in 2018 when he started driving for Front Row Motorsports. Now, a lot of people in the industry believe that if Michael McDowell got a better ride and a better opportunity, he'd perform a lot better. The thing, though, is I think Front Row might be a little bit of a better organization right now than Stewart-Haas Racing. But I also do want to say that if Michael McDowell was to go to that 10 car, which I think there's certainly a chance he goes to that 10 car, I think he would outperform the equipment very, very well. He's starting to reach the peak of his career and has got a shot to make the playoffs in 2023 with Front Row, which is extremely impressive. We've been seeing that team improve. Meanwhile, I think SHR has been falling off a little bit. That being said, I think there's a very strong chance and a very strong possibility. And the big question, of course, will be the sponsorship and funding, which I think Michael McDowell does have a little bit of sponsorship funding coming along with him. But I think there's definitely a chance. I can see front row putting Zane Smith in the 34 and, of course, Todd Gillen in the 38 car. We'll talk about Todd Gillen here shortly. But I think Michael McDowell has also a very strong possibility and a really strong chance of driving the 10. I think he's got a shot of going to the 10 car in 2024. The fourth driver who could drive a 10 car in 2024 is Todd Gillen. Now, Todd Gillen mostly runs a 38 car for Pro Motorsports in the Cup Series, but has made one start in a 36 car for that team, and the other 4 or 5 races that he's missing, he's currently driving a 15 car for Rickware Racing. Now, according to Jordy Bianchi, we know that he has not currently worked on a deal right now with Front Row Motorsports, which I think is a really big mistake for him. But if Todd Gillen does not re-sign with Front Row and he does go to Stewart-Haas Racing and drive a 10 car, it would definitely make somewhat of sense. Todd Gillen is currently under KHI management, which of course is Kevin Harvick management, and that would be a solid pickup for Stewart-Haas Racing. Shall Todd Gillen go to that 10 car? I think Todd Gillen has been outperforming the equipment this year. He's made the 38 car the best it's looked in a very, very long time. And I think Todd Gillen overall is a very solid and an extremely talented driver. He's got a lot of experience. He's getting better on a year by year, and I think he will improve if he drives that 10 car. I think he actually will do better than what he's done in the point standings this year with Front Row Motorsports, but I don't think Todd Gillen is going to be a championship threat or a contender. That being said, I think Todd Gillen could be a really, really solid pick and could be a very solid driver that could go to Stewart-Haas Racing. I think he's got a really strong chance and also a very, very strong possibility of driving for Stewart-Haas Racing heading into the 2024 season. He could be a big threat for that 10 car. The fifth driver who could drive a 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is Cole Custer. Now, Cole Custer currently drives a 00 in the Xfinity Series for Stewart-Haas Racing, and while in the beginning of the year was not very good for Cole Custer in the Xfinity Series, over the last 7 or 8 races, he has been impressing a lot. In fact, his average finish, I believe, is like in the 7 or 8 range, maybe in the top, like a 5 or 6 range, which is very, very well. He's finished in the top 10 and top 5. And just most recently at Portland a few weeks ago, Cole Custer picked up his first Xfinity Series victory of 2023. He's actually really starting to figure out this 00 car in Xfinity very, very quick. It's starting, I think, to become a championship threat and a contender. And he also, one thing that could help Cole Custer's opportunity, though, to come back to the Cup Series is the fact that he is son of Joe Custer, who's the president of Stewart-Haas Racing. So he's easily going to have that Haas Automation sponsorship that'll be able to go with it. But I think Cole Custer also has other sponsors that would be willing to work with him as well to get him back up to the Cup Series in 2024. I think there's a very strong chance that he does return and drive a 00 car in the 2024 season, but I would not count out the possibility of there being a chance that Cole Custer could go to the 10 car in 2024. The sixth driver who could drive a 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst is Cole Custer's teammate in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He currently drives a 38 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in Xfinity. And he started the year off very, very well and very impressive. He did make his Daytona 500 debut, his actual Cup debut, and actually finished in the top 10 in his debut. But he has cooled off in most recent weeks and has struggled. Now, I think it's a lot more bad luck than anything else. I think Riley Herbst has been decent. He's had some good pace and speed, but unfortunately, he has caught a bad luck and also at times has struggled on speed as well. But I think Riley Herbst has been a driver who has shown signs of improvement. The big question is, will he win? That is to be determined. But one of the big questions revolving around this 10 car is the sponsorship funding that could help Riley Herbst's chances of going to the 10 car. We know that Smithfield is very committed to Erik Jones, and if Erik Jones having a chance and possibly of retiring at the end of the season, I would imagine that Riley Herbst is one of the front-running candidates, outside front-running candidates, who could get behind the wheel. One, he's in-house with Stewart-Haas Racing, and number two, he has a Monster Energy sponsorship that he's had since the beginning of his career, and basically in what it was ARCA West and ARCA East at the time, and has had it in his ARCA career as well. So he has a sponsor that is long-term committed, and Monster, of course, has sponsored the team in the past. I think Riley Herbst would be a decent candidate to go to the 10 car, but not the favorite, but he wouldn't be my first choice, but I think he would definitely be a decent candidate to have a chance and a shot of possibly driving the 10 car heading into the 2024 season. The 7 driver who could drive the 10 car in 2024 is Harrison Burton. Now, Harrison Burton a few weeks ago would have been a little higher on my list because there actually have been some rumblings and rumors that Harrison Burton could be a candidate to drive the 10 car in 2024. Obviously, Harrison Burton currently drives the 21 for the Wood Brothers, and if you looked at his performance at the Wood Brothers this year, Harrison Burton did have a very strong performance at Darlington where he finished in 6th and ran in the top 10 pretty much all day. But the thing that did hurt Harrison Burton is he has, outside of that, has struggled in that 21 car over the last few years. Now, the one reason he's in that 21 car in the first place is because of the Dex Imaging sponsorship, which, of course, like I said, the 10 car does have issues sponsorship funding. Shall Eric Almirola leave? But Harrison Burton does bring sponsorship and funding. The second reason why we could see Harrison Burton in that 10 car in 2024 is he does have KHI management backing. He's a part of KHI management, I think, since either 2018 or the 2019 season. So he's going to be able to have KHI management sponsors. They're going to be able to work with him along with Dex Imaging. Also, I think Harrison Burton would do a little bit better driving that number 10 car than driving the 21 car. Because I think while Harrison Burton hasn't been impressive, I think the Wood Brothers have struggled a little bit as well. They don't get as good at Penske stuff as they used to in the past. I think he would be a decent candidate to go with and someone I think that does have a chance of going to the 10 car in 2024. The 8th driver who could drive the 10 car in 2024 is the only one on this list that is not part of Ford at all, and that is John Hunter Nemechek. Now, John Hunter Nemechek is the only outside Ford driver that I have on here. He currently drives a 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Now, he currently is a top driver who could go, shall Denny Hamlin or Mark Truex Jr. leave, he may go to the Cup Series. But if he doesn't go to a Toyota team in 2024 in Cup, I could see him jumping ship and jumping over to Stewart-Haas Racing. Now, that would be absolutely probably a downgrade for 2024, but I think John Hunter, if anyone can get behind the wheel and make that car better, I certainly think John Hunter has a potential possibility and a really good chance of doing that in the 2024 season. John Hunter is an interesting candidate. I think he's definitely got a chance and a possibility, and I think he would do a very solid job. I know he struggled in his debut season in 2020 in Cup, but I think a lot of that was due to other factors. But I think John Hunter certainly does have a chance and definitely a possibility of going to Stewart-Haas Racing. But I think it's very, very slim. I think he's got the least likely chance of going to anybody in this list. But I'll throw John Hunter out there as I think he's got a chance and a possibility of driving the 10 car in 2024. Plus, he does have sponsorship funding, which could help him out. The 9th driver who could drive the 10 car in the Cup Series for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is Hailie Deegan. Now, this is another one's probably a little bit outlandish, but Hailie Deegan is in Ford's development program, and she does drive full-time for the Truck Series Thorsport Racing. And yes, she has struggled with Thorsport Racing. But I've been saying this time and time again that she is only struggling because I don't think she can adapt to the truck as much as I think she can adapt to car. I remember her making her NASCAR Xfinity Series debut, and I think she did a very, very good job with SS Greenlight Racing. Yes, that was an SHR prepared car, but if you think about that, SHR prepared. Stewart-Haas Racing, I think, is looking at her as a long-term future, someone that they could bring up to the Cup Series long-term. I think her chances are very, very slim, but she does have sponsorship funding, which is going to help her chances out with the Monster Energy backing. Obviously, she would not be my first choice. I don't think she's ready to go to Cup, but certainly she could go to Xfinity. But I can see Ford trying to already force her up to the Cup Series like they did with Danica Patrick back in the day, and she could have a chance and a possibility of going up, but it sounds like there is a chance, which would be very interesting if she did go to the 10, but she could be a last chance possibility of driving the number 10 car in 2024. And the 10th and final driver who could be a candidate to drive the number 10 car in 2024 is Jensen Button. Now, Jensen Button is another one that I think is a little bit out there, but Jensen Button has stated publicly after driving the Garage 56 entry and also making his NASCAR Cup Series debut at Dakota for Ricker Racing, which of course did have Stewart-Haas Racing backing, he stated he would love to go full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, he does have sponsorship funding from Mobil 1, which has funded his select Cup Series races, and also has funded him throughout his whole NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR and F1 career as well up to this point. The thing is, though, I would imagine that Jensen Button is going to have some starts in NASCAR's lower series or would have to have some more starts with Ricker Racing and expand their schedule, which they could easily do because there's some races that are not set yet for 2023 for Rick Ware. But I think Jensen Button is the least likely of the main guys who could drive the car, but anything's possible and nothing's guaranteed. I could see Jensen Button have a really crazy shot of going to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024. So those are the 10 main drivers who could drive the 10 car. There's one honorable mention, though, that I'm going to mention that I just did not make this list, and that is Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto currently drives full-time for Rackley Bohr Racing in the Truck Series, and Matt DiBenedetto, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated drivers currently in NASCAR today. He always outperformed the Wood Brothers equipment, nearly won some races with the Wood Brothers, especially on super speedways, but also Las Vegas as well, where he finished in the top 10 in multiple starts there. And also Matt DiBenedetto has brought Rackley Bohr Racing in the Truck Series to a potential playoff spot. I think Matt DiBenedetto does have a chance and a possibility. It's a very, very outside shot, but he's got to have sponsorship funding, and that could hurt his chances of going there in 2024. But I think he's got a slight chance of going there. So that is going to be it for today's special video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, and channel notifications on so when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below over that, and comment below your thoughts below on today's video. Which driver do you think is most likely going to drive the 10 car in 2024? Let me know yours in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, I'm going to have a video talk about teams that could jump up to the Cup Series in 2024 or in the foreseeable future. Then on Monday, I'm not entirely sure what's going to drop on the channel. Probably NASCAR news video, but I'm not entirely sure. And I also will have the race picks for the Truck Series at Nashville as NASCAR returns next week. And then on Tuesday, I'll have race picks for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race in Nashville, followed by some other news coming out. And then we'll have a lot of other content dropping on the channel in the coming days and weeks. We're trying to get 2,000 subscribers and 2,500 by the end of the year. So if you're new and enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.